Okay, I'm opening the Beach Haven regular meeting on May 13th at 7:02, and the flag salute will be led by Councilwoman Vaughn Miller. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board in the Beach Haven Municipal Building and mailing the same to the Beach Haven Times, the Asbury Park Press, and the Press of Atlantic City. Mr. Allen.
Here.
Mrs. Baumiller. Here. Mr. Lynch.
Here.
Mr. Maskell.
Here.
Mayor Davis.
Here. Okay, we'll begin the meeting with a proclamation. Sherry, Councilman Allen's going to read our proclamation for us.
Okay. This proclamation is for National Maritime Day. Whereas on National Maritime Day, we recognize the critical role the United States Merchant Marine plays in bolstering national security and facilitating economic growth. We honor our merchant mariners for the contribution to connecting the states, supporting our military, and cementing ties among our allies. Whereas long known as the fourth arm of the defense, the United States Merchant Marine has served with valor and distinction in every American conflict. The important work of the Merchant Marine was never more evident than during World War II, when merchant mariners sailed dangerous seas and fought enemies as they connected our armed forces fighting abroad to vital supplies produced by hardworking Americans at home. In the course of their valiant efforts, they endured the loss of more than 730 large vessels and more than 6,000 merchant mariners died at sea or prisoners of war. Whereas today, American mariners facilitate the shipment of hundreds of billions of dollars of goods along maritime trade routes for American businesses and consumers. Merchant mariners are ambassadors of goodwill, projecting a peaceful United States presence along the sea lanes of the world and into the regions of core strategic importance to our nation. Often risking their lives by sailing into war zones, our merchant mariners continue to support our troops overseas by providing them with needed cargo and logistical support. They also advance humanitarian missions worldwide, including last year's effort to ship tens of thousands of containers of life-saving supplies to Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands after they had been devastated by hurricanes. Whereas the Congress, by joint resolution approved May 20th, 1933, has designated May 22nd of each year as National Maritime Day to commemorate the first transoceanic voyage by steamship in 1819 by the SS Savannah. Now therefore, we, the Council of the Borough of Beach Haven, do hereby proclaim May 22nd, 2019 as National Maritime Day. I call upon the people of Beach Haven to mark this observance and to display the flag of the United States at their homes and in their communities. I also request that all ships sailing under the American flag set ship on that day. At this time, I'd like to invite Dr. Annette Schreiber up to accept this proclamation.
Thank you. And Dan, while you're doing it, we now have a presentation on the artificial reefs and a proclamation. I'll let you introduce the speakers.
Okay, the artificial reefs, we have tonight Captain John Lewis. He's going to introduce the project, and we'll let him come forward, and from there, I think he has two other speakers that will like to speak as well.
Thank you, Councilman Allen, Mayor Davis, other council members. Thank you very much for having us here today. I'm John Lewis. I'm the president of Charter Association. We're a group of 12 small business owners who banded together to promote charter fishing in and around Beach Haven, southern Long Beach Island, and the mainland towns across the bay from us. We're a multifaceted organization because in addition to pushing for our own boats, we also work with the Ocean County Board of Tourism to promote tourism in southern Ocean County and Long Beach Island. We also have a junior mate training program. Ms. Leanne Lopez will talk a little bit more about that. But we take boys and girls ages 12 and up, teach them how to be mates on a charter boat. We had a problem with the shortage of mates. We solved that problem by training our own. Now we have a problem with a combination of a shortage of fish and a shortage of fishermen. We plan to solve that problem by growing our own fish, by expanding the existing reefs off of Beach Haven, off of Long Beach Island. We have to grow more fish, give them better habitat. But Mr. Bill Fegley, retired from the state DEP, who's basically the father of the artificial reef program, will touch more on that. So if I may, I'd like to introduce soon-to-be Captain Leanne Lopez to speak about the junior reef program.
Hello, my name is Leanne Lopez, and I'm an associate member of the Beach Haven Charter Fishing Association. I have been a part of our junior mate program coming on 6 years now. And not only do you learn how to fish and how to work with people, but you learn about safety, social skills, networking, and so much more. And I just like to speak from the junior mates. We deeply care about replenishing our reefs because without fish on those reefs, we can't go fishing. There won't be people to bring charters. We bring families and kids, and that's who I work with in the whole entire summer, families, and I get to show them the amazing marine life. And since 2005, there has been a shortage of material being sunk on our LBI reefs. North and south of the island, there's been plenty of material being sunk, but since 2005, there hasn't been. So we want to address that, and it's something really important to us. So at this time, I would like to introduce our chairman, who we're so thankful to have, Mr. William Fegley.
Mayor Davis and Council, my name is Bill Fegley, and I have lived in Manahawkin on the water since 1961. And I love to fish and catch anything from blowfish to bluefin tuna, love to crab. I was a part-time commercial clammer for 35 years, love to duck hunt out in the bay, love the shore, love the ocean, love the marine environment, much like I'm sure everybody else here shares my feelings as well. And I was lucky enough in 1976 to be hired by the state of New Jersey, the Division of Fish and Wildlife, as a marine fisheries biologist. And I was even luckier in 1984 when I became the first coordinator for the state's artificial reef program. For the next 22 years, I worked on the reef program, and we established a network of 15 ocean reefs stretching from Sandy Hook in the north down to Cape May in the south. And there's 4 reef sites that are located off Long Beach Island, one off Barnegat Light, Harvey Cedars, Spray Beach, and Holgate. And they encompass about 5 square miles of seafloor. During that time, we built over 4,000 ocean reefs on these 15 sites. And we built them out of ships and barges, concrete demolition debris, and over 16 million tons of dredge rock from New York Harbor. Now, a reef is really nothing more than a hard structure on the seafloor. And I'll describe real quickly how they work. They provide a couple of features for marine life. Number one, they provide a firm substrate for the attachment of certain organisms that like to grow on top of structures. These include mussels, barnacles, and stuff you see out on the jetty rocks. Sponges, sea anemones, bryozoans, a whole host of organisms that attach onto these, any structure basically that you put in the ocean. And this carpet of growth also attracts a lot of mobile invertebrate, including crustaceans like shrimp, crabs, isopods, amphipods. Several hundred different species live in this carpet, and they all feed on each other, and they also provide a great source of food for fish. The other thing that reefs do, particularly for fish, is provide hiding spaces for them in the holes and the crevices of the material that you put down. There's several species of fish and lobsters too, tog, sea bass, triggerfish, and fish like that, that are not very agile swimmers. and they wouldn't make out on the open sea. They'd be quickly eaten by predators, so quicker ocean predators. So they use the reef as hiding spaces. And now where was I going? Let's see. Oh, complete mental block. One thing that's happened over the past 13 years since I retired is there's been very little continuation of building on the reefs off the coast of Long Beach Island. And this is unfortunate because you have to maintain the reefs. The ocean is a very hostile environment, as we know every year. It affects the township. The township workers have to be content with tidal flooding. They have to worry about making sure the dunes are in good shape. And then after major storms every 20 or 30 years, putting back together all the infrastructure and the house damages and everything like that. Well, the same kind of thing happens out in the ocean. Heavy storms stir up the bottom of the seafloor, and they cause reef structures to slowly sink into the bottom. The corrosive nature of the ocean also corrodes ships and barges and metal structures so that they gradually deteriorate. And reefs must be maintained the same as you have to maintain your house. And by maintenance, I simply mean you have to continually add reef material to make sure that they don't disappear. What we've created out there is a man-made resource. And once you get the marine life associated with a reef, that of course attracts fishermen who come in to fish for sea bass, cod, and fluke. During the summer months, that's one of the primary activities of all of the small boats are in this area. They go out and fluke fish on the reefs. And the benefits extend far beyond the fish and the fishermen. They also extend to the shore, to all of the communities along the shore. It provides economic returns. Fishermen need boats. They have to buy motors. They have to have these maintained, service. They need to buy fuel, bait and tackle, rods and reels. They call up their friends and relatives in Pennsylvania and New York. They invite them down to go out on fishing trips. These people, of course, stay and have dinner at local restaurants. They buy beach badges to go out on the beach on Sunday morning. Everybody here realizes the economic impact of tourists coming down to the shore, and of course fishing provides one of those avenues to bring more people to our shore. Reef construction is an expensive undertaking, and when I was the reef coordinator, most of the material was donated by contractors who were tearing down seawalls or bridges. They donate concrete. And the Army Corps of Engineers provided a tremendous amount of dredge rock from New York Harbor. Unfortunately, those contractors would only move the material at sea for a short distance because it cost them a lot of money to barge the material. So what happened was most of the reef material would end up in Monmouth County next to New York City or in Cape May County next to Philadelphia. In the middle of the state, where we happen to be, dead smack in the middle, it was very difficult to get donated material from these large contractors. So we were dependent on fishing clubs, diving clubs, some businesses, grants from environmental organizations, a whole host. We sold a lot of things too, t-shirts, hats, books, marine life paintings and things like that to try to raise the funds to build the reefs. And what I was here tonight to talk about was simply to make you aware of the fact that we need to maintain those reefs. We've created a man-made resource out there that benefits the fish, the fishermen, and the local communities economically. But that resource is dependent upon our care and our constant maintenance. So I've teamed up with the Charter Boat Association in Beach Haven, and our goal is simply to put together a project where we can restart putting material out there, because it has lapsed, as we've said, since about 2005. And I just wanted to make this township and all the other townships on Long Beach Island aware of that. We want to spread the word, get the publicity out to all the local businesses and everything. We have several events coming up in the near future, and I'd like to see, we're going to need the help of the community and a lot of the public as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes.
I would like to just follow up on Mr. Figley. So we have our plan of action. We've already got permission from the state of New Jersey. We found two tug vessels up in Long Island to sink. And we have fundraising events scheduled throughout the summer. Our first is on June 20th. And then we're having others at the Beach Haven Marlin Tuna Club and other local restaurants. And we just want to really gain local support and just spread this. And we really appreciate everyone's help.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We in Beach Haven totally support this endeavor. Charter fishing has been historically something that we're very proud of here in Beach Haven. It's one of the main places that charter boat fishing started. I have pictures of my grandfather in a coat and tie back in like 1910 on a boat fishing, and so it's a very important to me, and I think to all of us, to maintain a good environment for fish. And we have prepared a proclamation showing our support, which we will send to all the other municipalities. There's 6 on the island, plus Stafford, because they're important, and showing our support, and hopefully all of us can get together and figure out how to help you be able to build these reefs. And I think everybody on the island will feel the same way we do. And I guess now we're going to read the proclamation.
Whereas the Borough of Beach Haven, one of the first recreational fishing destinations on the East Coast of the United States, with a long and storied history of sport fishing dating back 150 plus years. And whereas recognizing the importance of recreational fishing to the community as a whole, to the local tourism, jobs, and revenue fishing supports, we do hereby recognize, encourage, and support the junior mates of the Beach Haven Charter Fishing Association in their efforts of kids working for the future of fishing. And whereas seeing a need to maintain and expand the existing artificial reefs off Long Beach Island, which have not received any additional materials since 2005, these children and young adults have taken upon themselves to raise awareness of these issues. And whereas with the help of the captains of the Beach Haven Charter Fishing Association, Mr. William Figley, retired from New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, and local business leaders are raising the money needed to support an ongoing program of maintenance and expansion of the Little Egg and Garden State South Reefs. And whereas their vision and volunteerism should be an inspiration to all, it should be our goal that these junior mates will be fishing these reefs successfully for decades to come. Now therefore, I, Mayor Nancy Taggart Davis, Mayor of the Beach Haven Borough Council, do hereby support the efforts of the junior mates. I call upon the people of Beach Haven to support this initiative and to expand and maintain artificial reefs. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand this 13th day of May in this year of our Lord 2019. Ms. Lopez?
We'll do everything we can to help. Okay, we move along now to the manager's report.
Cash receipts in the current fund account for the period of April 1 to April 30, 2019 were $2,422,869.74. Cash disbursements in the current fund account for the month of April totaled $3,931,638.83. Cash balance in the current fund account as of this period totaled $12,991,501.08. Cash receipts in the water utility account for the period of April 1st to April 30th, 2019 were $218,116.47. Cash disbursements in the water utility account for the month of April totaled $114,851.52. And the cash balance in the water utility account as of April 30th was $3,585,701.33, submitted by our treasurer, Sherry Bowler.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're on to ordinances.
Ordinance 2019-11, calendar year 2019 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, under NJSA 40A:4-4514. Final reading.
This is the final reading, so I can open this to public comment. If anybody would like to speak, come forward, state your name and address. Anybody want to come forward and speak? Okay, I close the floor to public comment, and now we will have a vote. Is there a motion to approve 1911?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Bellmiller?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Maskell?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-13C, an ordinance amending Section 141-2, prohibited conduct, to prohibit certain public nuisances upon persons and property and other conduct improper or contrary to the health, safety, and welfare of the public. Final reading.
Again, this is final reading. Anybody that would like to speak to this can do that. If you would like, come forward, state your name and address. Okay?
Could you explain what it is, just the background on it?
Basically, Sherry, why don't you explain it? It's something the police requested that we add to the to our township. We already sort of do this, but we needed it in writing.
Yeah, it was a section of the code that had gone by the wayside. It's a general ordinance that encourages peace and good order that the police department can use. So they have multiple citations that they can use in court, and they can work with the prosecutor to help get people through. Does that make sense? Okay.
Sort of helping people stay out of jail.
Yeah.
Anybody else like to? Yeah, or-
No.
Yeah, but more to help them out. Would anybody else like to speak to this? Yes.
Yes, Michael Peeler, Beach Haven. I think this ordinance is coming dangerously close to infringing upon our First Amendment rights to assemble and to, take part in living life to the fullest. I'm not condoning rowdy behavior, but I think this ordinance is moving real close to prohibiting conduct.
Well, I think the ordinance intention, and I don't want to get into it, is really to be able to help people from being incarcerated.
That didn't make any sense. If people are acting up, Tom is going to let them know this is not good and take them away.
This ordinance is being put in place to state law, Title 2C, which is the criminal code. There is a specific code in there that says about prohibited conduct, violent, tumultuous behavior, and the like. That's a criminal charge. You carry that with you forever. So this is actually, you're not allowed to have an ordinance that mirrors the state one, because the state wants their money as well. This one is very close to that, but it's far enough away that we can amend the state one down to that one to keep people from having something with them forever.
Well, my concern is young people. The older you get, the less you like young people. I'm finding that out now. I don't think we should be on them because they're young and having fun and being stupid. And that should all be permissible. Doing things that
Within reason.
within reason, exactly. But I don't want to see a bunch of older people, see a bunch of young people, and we can't have that.
So our
Bring them up.
ordinance level as compared to the state statutes, this allows it to be a high price parking ticket. It goes away after a while, they can have this one. This is actually to help people not have blemishes on their records forever. People are plenty guilty of violating the statute, and this way we can kind of help them
People
out.
can live with records.
It's really a good
I'm
thing.
just concerned about freedom of speech, freedom to assemble, as long as they're behaving themselves to a certain extent.
That was never the intent to infringe on that.
Okay, that's good. I didn't think so.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak before we vote? Okay, do I have a motion to approve? I closed the floor. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve 17C.
Second.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowman? Yes. Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Matt?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-14, an ordinance of the Borough of Beach Haven authorizing a financial agreement pursuant to the 5-year exemption and abatement law. First reading.
This is first reading, so it's not open to the public. Do I have a motion to approve this?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowman?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Maskell?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-15C, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Administrative Code, the Code of the Borough of Beach Haven to provide establishment of a community garden. First reading.
Again, this is the first reading, so it's not open for comment, but I think it's a good thing, and hopefully a lot of people will want to garden down on Nelson Avenue. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowman?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Maskell?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-16C, an ordinance amending Chapter 204, Water of the Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean to require an inspection after tampering. First reading.
Again, it's a first reading, so it's not open to the public. Is there a motion to approve this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowmiller?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Maskell?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-17, an ordinance of the Borough of Beach Haven adopting an amendment to the redevelopment plan for Block 129, Lot 5, Block 141, Lots 3, 3.01, 4, 4.01, Block 143, Lots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, Block 144, Lots 4 and 5, Block 148, Lot 7, Block 148.01, Lots 1 through 6, and Block 162, Lots 7.02, 7.03, within the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey. First reading.
I'd like to explain this ordinance a bit, and I'm going to allow public comment relating to this, even though it is first reading, because I know a lot of people are here for this purpose. Although in public comment, I'd really like you to keep your comments to a minute. And if you want to comment later during the public comment session, yes, but I don't want to get into extensive comment right at this moment. But on last Thursday, well, at our last meeting, we postponed the vote on this particular ordinance. This is the ordinance allowing increased height in the area of Morrison's Marina. Chris Vernon, who's the developer, has presented here at Borough Hall as well as at Cedar Bonnet Island his proposals for this property. He had two plans. One plan was a long building at 35 feet. The other plan was a building that went another floor, but he was allowing a lot more open space along that area. And at the public comment session here in Borough Hall, the majority of people basically preferred the height and the open space. When it came to a vote last week, there was a discussion based on, or 2 weeks ago, a discussion based on what are we getting in return, and I couldn't answer that. So I felt that we needed to look into this more and come up with come up with the right answers. So basically, what on the ground, the hotel is not extending all the way along 2nd Street. It will stop, and there'll be an open space that is made up of 5,600 square feet. To the east of that open space, the original plan showed the hotel extending all the way to Pennsylvania Avenue. So it was a massive structure that went all the way down the block, and he was going to, in the plan with the lower height, was going to rip down the existing building that's there, which is the ship's store, and he was going to add the hotel all the way down. We do have an architectural review committee, and the comments of those people also felt that the increased height and the more open space was more attractive and would give you a feel of openness into the marina. One of our review members thought that the plan with the lower height that went all the way down to Pennsylvania Avenue basically looked like a bunch of railroad cars hooked up to each other. I think most of us got the feeling that probably about 90% of the people that were at both of those meetings preferred the height versus the non-height. So we met, and I wanted to talk to Mr. Vernon and hear what he had to say about, what are we getting in exchange for this. So basically, by putting the 3rd floor on the hotel, he actually is getting 20,500 additional square feet. And so at first it looked like, wow, he's really getting the high end of the bargain, we're losing out. But then when you start to look at it, if he were to fill in that open space, he would have a parking garage and 2 floors above it. So you're multiplying that 5,600 square feet by 3. So now you're up fairly high. I mean, you're getting close to 20,000. But then when you look at the plan and you see that the original building is not going to be ripped down, and you're not going to have a big high, even with the lower height, it's still a large amount of hotel all the way to Pennsylvania Avenue. There's a lot more open space in that chunk of land to the east of the present open space. And that open space that he's leaving open is going to be park. It's going to be open landscaped. It's not going to be a parking lot. It's going to be an actual park-like setting. So you'll be able to see through to the marina. So basically, in my personal opinion, and of course everybody has their opinion, and it's up to what we vote on tonight, and then this will go to the land use board. Basically, the openness to me gives it a much nicer flavor down there than having just a wall all along there. And even though we did create breezeways, 2 breezeways, so we broke the project into 3 units, it still didn't have the feeling of openness, in my opinion. So anyway, I would I would like to, if anybody has questions or comments about this at this time, just limit it, come up to the microphone, state your name and address. Well, first, I think we need to hear from the council, sorry. Basically, any opinions or questions you might have of me. Chuck and I were at that meeting, and Emily was at the meeting, Jimmy Raymond was at the meeting, so, they also know what was said and what was going on. Jane Enos was there, she's back there somewhere. So, Chuck, do you have any comments or anything?
No, I'm in favor of the higher height and the open space that is going to be there. And I think we said that he could even possibly make that a little more open space if he took the porch off the end of that he was planning on putting a porch on the end of the current ship store. So, everybody who was at the Bonnet Island meeting, was very much in favor of the 3-story, and was very, very well received, and let's get on with it.
Councilman Lynch?
I'm in favor of it. I was in favor of it before. I think it's a good idea. I think it gives us some open space. I think he's been very favorable in working with the town, the borough, and I think it's time to move on.
Councilwoman Dalmo?
I'm not in favor of the increase in height. I think that we really need to stay to the 35-foot height because, we have an example of Mr. Vernon Zerk. He does beautiful work, but in his recent location, something on paper looks totally different than something actually built. So I'm really concerned about putting something that large in that small space, and when you're going up to that height increase, you're making a huge wall. And remember, the sun is moving south, and eventually gets to 6th Street and it starts to turn back. So when it passes the hotel, it's just going to be a huge shadow. So I'm not for the height increase. And people mention the Grand Hotels in the past, but in the day of the Grand Hotels, there was nothing around them. So they were beautiful because there was plenty of open space for them, but there's open space for these large hotels now. So I think we need to stick to the smaller height if we're moving forward with this project.
Councilman Allen?
I do share some of the reservations that Jamie has about the height. But listening, to both presentation and then at the last agenda meeting when we had the presentation, the public support was overwhelmingly in favor of the 3 stories. So, we're elected officials and we have to listen to the people who elected us. So if it came down to a choice between the 2 of them, I would have to go with the higher version based on the favorable public, opinion, at least for the people who spoke up. I'm always ready to listen if there's people here that have a different opinion. We haven't decided anything yet. So it's, it goes from here to the land use board, comes back to us to be finalized. So there's a long way before this thing is written in stone. So, we need to hear, we don't want to get into another situation like we have in the past. So we need to hear, what the town wants, basically. We're here for you guys, so we need to hear it.
I would like to make another comment myself before I open the floor. There's a lot of advantages. I've been on the fence with this project. Initially, I grew up here. I liked Beach Haven the way it was. It just seemed massive. But things have changed, and I think we all have to admit that there's been a lot of change that's occurred in the last 20 years here in Beach Haven, and things aren't going to go backwards. And some of the reason that I support this, the main reason, is it gives us, we get to keep the marina. And by doing this and making this agreement, we can have in writing that this remains a working marina, that it is not going to be closed off and condominiumized and closed off to the public. We put in our development plan that the lift that gets the large boats out of the water has to remain there by law in perpetuity. Even if Mr. Vernon sells it, that has to remain. The boat slips are open to be rented by anybody. So it supports a charter fishing business. They'll maintain the ship store where you can buy supplies for your boat. It's hard to get those things. I mean, it's a pain in the neck. You've got to get, everything has to be stainless steel. All the stuff that goes on boats is very expensive. It's not easy to find everywhere, so it's wonderful to have a decent ship store. It will attract business into town. One of the things that people forget about is the huge amount of tax revenue the town will receive from a project like this. This will certainly enable us to keep everybody else's real estate taxes down, and we haven't raised the municipal portion of our taxes in the last 2 years. Having this kind of project will bring a lot of money into the town that will help us improve our parks and a lot of other things in the town. So these are some of the main reasons I'm supporting it. I think it'll be good for business. I think it'll increase the shoulder season, the business during the shoulder seasons. He's going to keep this hotel open year-round. He's not probably going to rent all the rooms or probably close parts of the hotel. But I think it'll bring a lot more people down here on weekends off season, which is good for business, so maybe we'll be able to keep more businesses open for a longer period of time. But those are my thoughts. But now I'd like to open the floor. Please, again, come forward, state your name and address, and please keep your comments short, because we do have another whole agenda to get through here.
John Harvey, 211 2nd Street. The decision on the table is about the height tonight?
That's purely about the height, nothing else.
Just an observation that everything you shared, Nancy, is independent of the height decision. He provided two options and he...
I agree with you. I agree with you, absolutely.
So I understand your point.
I agree with you. I'm just making I'm just stating why I think.
I also, we all look at things differently, and I really question whether 90% of the people were in favor at the meeting that he had over his property. I'd suggest, Dan, if you really want to know, why don't you do a referendum on it and see what people want, because people's opinions float with emotion and stuff like that, as we know. Here's my observation, is I don't know, and I'm sure there is, so I apologize, but I don't know of a situation where somebody asked for an increased height, we've turned them down, okay? At least on a commercial property. And we've got zoning lawyers, we've got a master plan. You tell me what they say about this height issue, okay? My biggest concern, and I'd ask as you vote on this, tell us why, and with your conscience, picture 5 years from now, a hotelier that might be on the ocean side that's had a business here for 30 years. Okay, we've got a new developer, Chris Vernon, first-time developer, I believe, in Beach Haven, who are giving this additional square footage, as you said, too. What's the answer you give to somebody that says, you know what, I'm on the ocean, and I'd like to go to that height level that they went to at Morrison's. Tell me why I can't. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Anybody else want to speak? Okay, I'm going to close the floor to public. Okay.
A lot to say, make it short.
1 minute.
Please. I think it's ridiculous. Do you know what charm means? Do you know what small town means? Most of you people, do you know why you came here and you decided to stay here? It's because of charm and smallness. This is too much, too soon, too fast. It's like stuffing 10 pounds of meat in a 5-pound bag, to be perfectly frank. And all he's done is shown you proposals, dreams, thoughts, hopes. Whatever you want to hear, he's telling you, and you're buying it. It's gonna be like Midtown Manhattan down there. Now, I like Manhattan, but I don't want to live there, aside from a weekend. It's gonna be a nightmare. Hundreds of cars. And there goes the charm, there goes the quaintness, there goes the quietness, there goes the town while we're here, in my opinion. Okay? I would rather see, I'll leave it from there, I'll start stuttering. Anyway, no, this referendum would be good. I don't know, a lot of people want to come out, stand up and talk. It's too much. It's not measured. It's not a measured growth, it's a nightmare. And I watched that tape 3 or 4 times on his proposals and this and that. He's telling you what you want to hear. And where is he gonna, he's gonna do valet parking. Valet parking to where? It's gonna be a nightmare. Okay?
Thank you. Next. Anybody else? Yeah.
Colleen Lambert, 115A. I personally would have liked the lower building, but I do understand that the people have, by the vast majority, go with the higher, and that's okay. I mean, that's what we need, because I'm certainly not against the project. The height has always been my concern. Now, I'm looking at the thing today. Is it down to 45 feet and 9 inches, the tower? Because it was at 48.
Yeah, thank you, Jim.
Thank you. Good evening. James Raven on behalf of Chris Vernon and Mercer Management and Development. Chris had a last minute commitment this evening, so he was unable to come. So the question is about the tower. The previously approved height was for the restaurant portion, and that still remains. And the new portion is 44 feet, would be the uniform height for the 3 stories. And then there's a 45-foot, 9-inch allowance for 1 elevator tower on that portion of the building, on the hotel portion. So this, yes, that's for the restaurant portion of the building.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I'll stay here.
Okay, no, I appreciate Mr. Raven.
Sure.
My thought there, and again, I said it before, I'll say it again, the rooftop deck is a nicety, it's not a necessity. And, you know, I would prefer to see, if get this thing down. I'm not thrilled about going up and up, but I can live with that. But I just see that, we're making an exception for something that isn't really necessary. We're going to have the public dock that extends 75, 100 feet. People can go there and look at the water. There's going to be a bar or something on the north side. They can go there and look at the water. It looks like a beautiful property with open space. I would just like to see that 48 feet go down. And other than that, I'm okay with it. Thank you.
Colleen. Anybody else? Okay, if nobody else wants to talk, I close the floor to public comment. And do I have a motion to approve this ordinance?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowmiller?
No.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Maskell?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes. Okay.
2019-18C, an ordinance amending Chapter 212 of the Borough Code of the Borough of East Haven concerning impervious lot coverage requirements, first reading.
This basically is, deals with the affordable housing, and this is a first reading. I don't know if we put a lot of time and effort into this, and we want to make sure that if we have affordable housing in the overlay area, that it will work. We'll be able to work it out. It's a difficult situation. We like to keep as much open space as possible, but we're letting them have a little less open space in that situation. This is first reading, so it's not open to public comment. Is there a motion to approve ordinance 2019-18C?
Motion to approve 18C.
Second.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowmiller?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Maskell?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-19C, an ordinance amending Chapter 199, Vehicles and Traffic, Part 2, Handicap Parking, Article 12, Schedules of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, first reading.
Again, this is about angled parking for handicaps people on Second Street. Is there a motion to approve this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowmiller?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Maskell?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
2019-20 is the 2019 salary ordinance, first reading.
Again, it's not open to the public, it's just new salary ranges. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
One second.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Baumann?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Maxwell?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
All matters listed under item consent agenda are considered to be routine by the municipal council and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by a certification of availability of funds, and any item requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed separately. All consent agenda items will be reflected in full in the minutes. Resolution 100, canceling water charges. Resolution 103, approving application for fireworks for public display in the area of Taylor Avenue for multiple dates. Resolution 104, authorizing the refund of taxes due to state appeal. 105, resolution authorizing an execution of an agreement between the Borough of Beach Haven and the Community Arts Program for use of Veterans Park. Resolution 108, authorizing the Beach Haven Borough Land Use Board to review a proposed amendment to the Maritime District redevelopment plan within the Borough of Beach Haven. 109 is returning street opening bonds. Resolution 110, returning piling bonds. 111, returning park bonds. 112, authorizing the issuance of raffle license 6. 113, authorizing the issuance of raffle license 7. 114, acknowledging managerial appointments to the Land Use Board. 116, authorizing the lease of municipal property in an online auction for the boat slips. 117, authorizing the issuance of raffle license number 8. 118, awarding a contract to Mathis Construction Company for the 2017 road reconstruction improvement project for Amber Street from Bay Avenue to Delaware Avenue. 119, awarding a contract to Shore Connection, Inc. for the 2019 drainage project, Holyoke Avenue and West Avenue. 120, authorizing refund of residential development fees. 121, returning remaining escrow. 123, canceling tax charges. 125, authorizing release of performance bond. 126, return of dumpster bond. 127, placing a referendum on the November ballot to establish an open space fund and assessment. And 128, form of emergency temporary appropriation resolution prior to the adoption of the budget.
Would anybody on council like to take any of these particular resolutions off for further discussion?
I'd like to just know what the 114 is, acknowledging managerial appointments. Is there names attached to that?
Yes.
And how many are open, by the way?
So we had a vacancy created by the sudden passing of Mr. Bob Schlabach.
Yes.
So we are just moving up another of our alternates to fill that seat.
Okay.
That's all that's happening.
Okay, fine.
I'd like to talk about 103.
103, okay. Any others?
Any others? All right, so right now we're voting on everything but 103, correct? Is there a motion to approve everything but 103?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Von Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Maxwell?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes. Okay, so now we'll discuss 103, and I think Mr. Wainwright's here, and maybe he could come forward and tell us a little bit about what he wants to do.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Brian Wainwright. I'm the owner of Dennis Allen Amusement Park. We're asking for permission to have 10 fireworks displays. Really, the reason we are trying to do this is we were granted permission last year for a show in October that had very positive feedback, both publicly and from the business community. We're really excited by that. Part of our motivation as a family to acquire the park was to really take advantage of the anchor that it could be for the community. We looked at specific dates where there are other activities either within the borough or somewhere else on the island where something was ending at, say, 6 or 7. We thought adding a fireworks show at 9 p.m. would keep them in the area either for dinner or to come to the park afterwards and enjoy the fireworks show. It would relieve some of the pressure for the July 4th show and display. having lived on the mainland for many years, the trek across the bridge for July 4th is stressful and frustrating. It would allow for more opportunity, but the idea is just to have folks stay longer and enjoy the borough and be able to create more memories. So we're here to have Jack Serpico, who's the pyrotechnics company we are looking to contract with for the shows, to answer any potential questions or issues.
I just opened the discussion. I consider myself an environmentalist, and the issue came up about the problems with fireworks and the environment, and I've so far done a lot of research. I contacted the Marine Biology Department at Stockton, and I got a lot of information from them, and there are green fireworks, and they're telling me that the danger to the bay is not that great, as long as that after the fireworks are over, you make sure there's nothing left floating around in the water. My main concern right now, and I really don't have a good answer to it, are the nesting birds. We do have endangered species and shorebirds that nest on those barrier islands. I've contacted a lot of people. I haven't gotten a good answer yet back. A lot of people that are really, I've left messages and I've talked to some people. I have some ideas. I do think that the critical period worrying about the birds is May and June. I also know that there are certain places that birds will nest, and I'm not sure if, for example, Barrow Island, which is pretty far away from, that's a huge nesting site for birds, and that's fairly far away from where you are. And Mordecai Island, there's a lot going on there, and it's questionable to me. We used to have a large population of skimmers on Mordecai Island, and we're trying to build them up again by increasing the height of the island. So because what happens, they like to lay their eggs on sand, on flat surfaces. But what's happened in the last few years, water's washed over the island and they're not nesting there as much. The biggest problem really for the nesting birds seem to be predators. On Mordecai Island we've had foxes and we've had raccoons that are destroying the nests of the birds. So this is more of a problem, I think, than fireworks. But I don't really have a great answer on the nesting bird issue. So these are my concerns at the moment. But I certainly would like to hear about the safety of the environment in relationship to. And I know other council members have a lot of questions as well.
We've been in the firework business for many, many years, done hundreds of firework shows from Sandy Hook to Cape May. We're in the business to entertain people, we don't want to disturb the environment or hurt the environment. We follow best practices rules. Our fireworks, any debris that comes down is typically brown craft paper that's biodegradable, especially in a salt water or brackish water environment. Any major debris that's left on the deck, our boxes, plastic, things of that nature, we follow the best practices rule in the industry. We sweep it, take it off. Anything that needs to be recycled is in fact recycled. We shoot a lot of our fireworks electrically, so we use a lot of wire from our computer to the fireworks themselves. All that wire is taken off, taken to a recycling plant and recycled. All of our plastic. We cover with plastic to keep the water off. That's taken off, folded, and is taken away. When that barge lands at the dock, it's swept off by our people, and the debris is discarded. That's basically what we do. We literally shoot, these shows are relatively small. They're small budget shows, they last 10 minutes. You get a decent amount of fireworks, but compared to your July 4th show, these are probably 1/5 or so, or less the size, as opposed to the July 4th.
Are you saying in the size of the fireworks or the size of the amount of the fireworks?
Size of the fireworks and the overall amount of fireworks that are being fired. I did the show here in Beach Haven for a couple of years, and I know what's in the show. And there's 8-inch shells. We shoot nothing bigger than a 4, once in a while a 5, but there are literally 5 to 6 times more fireworks in that show than there are in these small shows. Okay. As far as the environment, we dealt with piping plovers up at Sandy Hook.
where we worked with the park, National Park Service, and we waited until their nesting season was over, but they were very, very close to us. If you're talking, I don't know where these islands are.
Well, the piping plovers are on the beach side, they're not on the
I'm
bay
just saying,
side.
so but that's where we were. But, and that's the only encounter I've ever had where anybody claimed that we might disturb nesting birds. I don't know the distance between the islands that you referred to and the firing site.
The closest island is Parker Island, which is a dredge island, that you really don't have, there's a lot of Norwegian grass there, and most of the shorebirds would not nest in that grass. I checked on that, you might have some swallows or sea swallows or there that might nest in some of that, but they're not endangered. I'm more concerned about endangered shorebirds. And again, I don't really have a definitive answer on that yet.
Now, typically, I mean, we go through a lot of regulatory processes. We are licensed by the state of New Jersey, the federal ATF. DEP knows what we do, they regulate us. Ocean County Fire Marshal regulates us, and so does the United States Coast Guard Service. The USCG has issued a permit for all of the shows. They're typically, if they think we're going to introduce a hazard into a waterway, they won't issue the permits. Same with the Ocean County Fire Marshal's office. If they think we're going to do something that's going to be dangerous in any way, shape, or form, they won't issue the permits.
And both are on site for the shows.
Yeah.
What?
Both are on site for the shows.
Yeah.
Now, just quickly, how many I know what it is myself, but
Right.
you're planning on 10 fireworks displays?
That was our request.
Okay, and starting like next week, right?
Well, our first one would have been for this weekend to go along with the seafood festival. And the concept was to keep boats in town. We're too close to that date at this point, candidly, to make that.
I'm a little nervous about May. And how many did you plan for in each month, if you know offhand?
It worked out to be up to 2 months.
Yeah, about 2 a month over a 6-month period. May was 18 and 25, June was 1st and 7th, July 20th, 27th, August 6th and 10th, September 1, October 5th and 12th. And as Brian said, the 18th of May is probably off the table at this point in time.
So August 6th show is not in Beach Haven.
Correct. It was listed on the contract, but that's for National Night Out.
That's in Long Beach Township.
We're sponsoring the National Night Out show.
They had that show there last year as well, same show.
So the rest of council probably hasn't got questions.
My concerns are exactly what Nancy's are. It's the, nesting birds, and if that issue can be resolved, then, I think it's a good idea to keep people in town.
I think the environment is always a very important issue, no matter what we do. But if we can keep it and we get it approved, and make sure that we're doing the right thing, we don't have any backup, that would be a problem. I think 10 is a lot, though, to be very honest with you. Or 9, excuse me. It's just, is it 10?
Yep.
Okay, I just think that's a lot. One of the reasons I have a Labrador retriever, so at the first sound, he's all over through the house and trying to hide under the bed, which he never fits. And we have that all night, even after the show's over. So I don't know how many other people have that same problem.
I have 2 Britneys that well aware of the same problem. The other thing I just want to point out is, being held hostage frequently by my 14, 11, and 9-year-old fighting either Fortnite or Minecraft. These are the extra things, the exclamation points that get people to load up and get in the car and come out for the night. So I think the community benefit is my very small knowledge base on the environment. I did some research based upon some of the feedback. I just feel like the benefit outweighs any risk. And obviously, given Jack's experience, I feel like we're going to do the right thing. And obviously, if there's something that comes up, we'll deal with it.
I just want to mention also, I did ask Mr. Wainwright about a laser show instead of fireworks, a laser light show. And he said it's very difficult to do unless it's projected on a structure. And there really isn't a structure in which to project it on, just thinking there might be an alternative.
Yeah, and obviously I will take on doing some research on that because there is a lot to learn. And obviously we didn't come to this conclusion of trying to put on the fireworks displays. We just wouldn't be able to make a change that quickly.
I've done both. I've done real large fireworks shows, inclusive of lasers, okay? Disney keeps their fireworks for a reason. Lasers are good, but they don't give you the same impact as a firework display. I mean, if you're focusing lasers on the Magic Kingdom and the castle, they're great. I mean, I've seen the Washington Monument look different. Didn't look like a monument. You turned off the lights, there was a monument there. I mean, they're phenomenal what they can do, but there's always fireworks that are typically integrated in them. So I've done both. I don't do lasers. I have friends of mine that do lasers, and when I'm asked to do a laser show with fireworks, I bring in another contractor that specializes in them, because they can be more dangerous in terms of the glare. They go to infinity. You have to be extremely careful with overhead aircraft when you're doing the laser shows. Right, or you can't have them like go on an angle anywhere near the crowd or anything like that, because if you make direct eye contact with one of those lasers, you're going to have a problem. So everything carries its own risk and reward in the industry, and they have their own risk and reward. Certainly, they don't make the noise that we do, but they have their own risk.
Did you say October 5th or September 5th?
October 5th.
October 5th, that's Chowder Fest.
So, and again, open for discussion, but Saturday, obviously is another great example where folks are in town for the day, they take advantage of the merchant mart and they leave. Keep them here for the restaurants and have a show at 9 p.m. just seemed like a logical choice. But again, open for feedback.
Okay, Jamie.
What's your oxidizing agent?
We use the standard perchlorate that's in these shells.
Potassium perchlorate?
Yes,
Okay.
they're standardized.
Right, potassium perchlorate is soluble in water. So my real concern is Little Egg Harbor Bay. You know, we do a lot of things to the environment first, and then we see the repercussions after. So there has been studies with potassium perchlorate that I've read with the 3-spine stickleback, and that had effect on their spawning. And that's my concern. We have one presentation of, the artificial reefs on one hand, and we have a lot of fish that are spawning in the bays, and then we have, another presentation about fireworks. So I appreciate what you are doing with Fantasy Island and for the businesses. October 5th, October 12th, everything's kind of closing down in Little Egg Harbor Bay for spawning and whatnot, but July, we already have people here. August, we have people here. September, we still have people here. So that is a critical time in the Bay. And
Where is that located? I'm not familiar, so it's a question of inquiry. Where is that located in relationship to the site?
What is the site?
That's the site. You're talking about the same site.
That you're shooting these fireworks off of in the bay, I'm assuming, on a barge?
Yeah.
Right, so that's called Little Egg Harbor Bay. And it's a very small area that has a lot of life. And for the last 20 years, it's been significantly in decline. I mean, we're trying to regrass the bay, reclam the bay, re-oyster the bay, and now this oxidizing agent, so potassium perchlorate, is very harmful to the bay. So if on the one hand, it does depend on the level, but you're talking about 10 extra firework displays that do we really...
Okay, well, I'm just saying, facts are facts. It's spread out over a 6-month period of time. Not to dispute what you said, but I also did some research. There's a study from Lake George, that's freshwater, and they came up with it was a negligible effect based over a period of time. Now, I believe, like you do, that anything that's introduced into an environment that's not natural to the environment has some negative effect on the environment. 100%.
Right, we're already talking about a bay that has been in significant decline. Potassium perchlorate bioaccumulates in the tissues, so it's not just the one time, it stays, and then another organism eats that organism, and then it builds up and it accumulates over time. So we're talking about another toxin in an already stressed environment. That's all.
We're sure it stays? Isn't this tidal flow water? If it comes down in the water, doesn't it flow out?
In the summertime, for the bay to drain out into the ocean, it takes a significantly long period of time because you only have 2 exits. It's a small bay. You only have Beach Haven Inlet, you have Barnegat Light Inlet. So you have that bay staying in there, and in the summertime, you have everything else in there as well. So it's just an additional additive.
Got it. I understand what you're saying.
Anything else, Jimmy? Dan?
I'm kind of surprised by my own opinion on this, because I love fireworks. I figured it's fun. But 10 is a lot. Now, you know, I have a dog like Tom, so I'm sure I'm not the only one in town. And it's a lot. I mean, I've been in other communities where they do fireworks shows similar to this, and when you're out and about, you're at the grocery store, you're in town, they all look great when you start them, but by the end of the year, the people who are here all the time really don't like them anymore. They're a nuisance. You know, 9 o'clock, oh, here we go. And it's kind of I understand what you're trying to, and I applaud you trying to help the other events keep people in town. And I think it's great, you know, that you're doing. But based on just my experiences elsewhere, you know, it's not only dogs, it's elderly people, it's people with young children, babies, you know, trying to put kids to sleep. We're a family, you know, oriented community. We kind of have to think about that. What's that?
Next to Bay Village?
Do you only hear fireworks at Bay Village? I can hear the fireworks at my house now at the end of the, you know, so it's, my dog knows when a bottle rocket goes off on Nelson Avenue. I mean, it's, so it's, yeah, so it's,
Is there any way to move that down to 5?
yeah, can we reduce it? Can we try that first? You know, pick the 5, 4 that you really want to hit and see if we really like them, you know?
Towards it, I mean, I'd rather see them in August, September, and October more so than earlier, only because I worry about the birds.
That's a hard, I understand that.
We can table it, I mean,
No, that's it.
we can actually,
I anticipated this question. I numbered the events in order of what we thought was important. The one I would really like to see remain, if possible, in June is our guest appreciation touch a truck event. All of the funds that we raised that evening goes back to the community, to the first responders. Last year we were able to donate $25,000. I think if we add a fireworks show to that event, we'll have more people, and I think that has a big impact.
What
So
was the date on that one?
that was the June 7th date.
and you donated $25,000 to the first responders?
Yes, ma'am. It's across the island.
What first responders? Who?
The police departments, the fire
Police
companies,
department?
the police, the EMS, the fire trucks.
I am the EMS squad. What squad did you send the money to?
I can assure you, everyone on the island that participated in the event received a check.
I'd like to see that.
Sure.
Okay.
Which one are you part of?
Beach Haven, it covers 10 of the 18 miles of island.
I'm almost certain that was a $2,500 donation, and I'm sorry that you wouldn't remember that.
Haven't missed a meeting.
Yeah, I'm certain of it.
Okay.
It was cash.
Let's hold off the public comments for now, but, okay. What other ones?
The Kite Fest weekend, I would rank as one. The second was the Touch a Truck event. Memorial Day weekend seems like an obvious one, but if May is out of the question, I would move to Labor Day weekend. A date in July 20, if that were possible.
So you're looking for 1 in June, 1 July, and I think the rest in September or October?
Yes.
Okay. Anything, I'd like to hear something from the public again, very briefly though, because, well, we're getting near the end of the agenda, but if anybody would like to, I'd like to hear what the comments, what the people in the public are saying, thinking about this issue, if you would keep your comments brief. Okay.
Eileen Jacob, 315 Iroquois. I'm on the side of Jamie. Our bay is so stressed right now, we don't need any more chemicals going in it. And the birds, it's, you know, the black skimmers, the willets, the red-winged blackbirds. I mean, there's a gazillion birds on Mordecai, and it's right there. I mean, and people's dogs, everybody's dogs have heart attacks on them. You know, and how about the people that, you know, they get up for work at 4 o'clock in the morning, they go to bed, say at 7, they're woken up by fireworks. You know, so, you know, and like I said, babies, there's so many things that fireworks disturb, and I just don't get it.
Ms. Jacobs, what should we
Iroquois.
Anybody else?
I'm certainly getting my money's worth tonight. Fireworks should only be
Your name and address, it has to be on the
Michael
recording.
Peeler, Beach Haven. We should only have fireworks on 4th of July celebrating our independence from Britain. Okay? We don't need to be titillated by explosions and concussion impacts. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah. You know? I had a little girl dog named Isaac. She was traumatized for days afterwards. Don't like it. I'm concerned also about our men and women who are coming back from a war zone that aren't aware that we're going to be titillating people with bright lights and impacts and everything, and they have PTSD. Concerned about that. They're down here to feel the breeze, smell the ocean, time off, take a break. I don't want them to be exposed with that. Then again, it's too much. It's too much. And the same thing with the animals and everything. You can't even watch TV at night without a good murder or other type of stuff. That's what we're getting to.
Well, let's keep it with the ones that.
Well, it's the whole thing. We need to be shock and awe to make it worthwhile. I don't like it. 4th of July is great to celebrate our independence.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Perfect. David Alighieri, I live in Holgate, so I go to the account. We have stopped at Beach Haven for 16 years now. Someone's finally trying to do something to help the stores in Beach Haven. Is all of you realize? Retail is dying in Beach Haven. You've had 5 stores that closed this year. Is anyone doing anything to help retail in Beach Haven at all? I don't think so. Thanks, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak?
Don Caxis, 5th Street in Beach Haven. I know you're not an expert in lasers, but I really think you ought to explore that a little bit better. It's going to be environmentally safe. You can, I've seen photographs right there where they shoot them up into the sky over the bay. And if you really want a wall, I mean, there is a very nice big blank wall behind the school, and maybe you could use it as a fundraiser for the school. So maybe what you do is you put up a whiteboard or a white screen on the back of the school in the summertime, and it's right across the street from Fantasy Island. It's a big open area, and I don't know why you wouldn't even consider that. Just put a big screen or on the back of the school wall and shoot it in the school in the summertime and do a laser light show in the schoolyard. I think that way you attract a lot of people, and I think it's a lot safer and much better for the environment.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah.
Jill Baker. I'm in Holgate also. My vote doesn't count, but I love Beach Haven, as I've come up here to say before. I think if we have Jamie on our council, and she's an environmentalist, an environmental teacher, I think we should take her words and respect them and listen to the knowledge that she's giving all of us, including the council people, the mayor, and the audience. And anything that's affecting our wildlife, nobody's mentioned the osprey and the nest that are sitting out there. They're endangered species. And I think whatever Jamie suggests, that we should listen. And being a daughter of who's into environmental science and marine biology, I know the importance of caring about our environment and our marine life and our birds, and we should really be respectful. And I have been to your place, and what you've done is amazing, Mr. Wainwright. You've made some amazing changes, and it's taken my family, my parents, and it's wonderful. So don't take this as a negative to you. I think, like you just suggested, there is a way that we can do something that would be positive to help the stores, to help people stay into the, within the town after 9 o'clock. But I think maybe there's more research that can be done to come up with a way to make everybody work together. And maybe there's a way we can help them do that.
Anybody else like to come up and speak?
Have we passed the resolutions?
Yeah, all the other resolutions are passed.
With one withdrawn, okay.
This is the
Yeah.
only, well, there's one about the liquor license. No, okay, so nobody else wants to speak, so I close the floor. And at this point, we can either vote or we can postpone it and come up with a compromise if you want to do that.
So can I just clarify real quick? Can you just read me the 5 dates that you're proposing, if that's what you did?
Thank you.
June 7, July 20, August 10, September 1, and October 12.
Okay, thank you. So if we consider a vote, that's what we would be voting on?
So now I'm asking council, what do you want to do?
Well, I'm the pro-business guy. I would like to see it approved. However, I would really like you to find out, about the nesting birds on those dates.
I'd like that myself. So could we postpone this until our next meeting, which is May 30th? Is that acceptable?
Yes.
Do we need a vote for that?
No.
All right, so we're on to the last resolution, which is separate because it involves alcohol.
Yeah, it requires a public hearing, so we will open the floor. Resolution 115, 2019 is approving a place-to-place expansion for plenary retail consumption license 1503-33-007-10 for Waterfront Restaurants LLC, which is trading as the Black Whale.
Could you, and this is open to the public, does anybody need some explanation?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you explain this, Sherry? I've asked Sherry to explain it to me about 10 times. I think I could explain it to you, but Sherry can tell you.
Well, Bill's here, he can come up. They've done an addition, done some improvements at the Black Whale, and the liquor license only covered the former structure. So they're asking to expand the license into the additional parts of the restaurant that have recently been added. So the police chief and I have taken a look. We've been out on the property, we've talked to Bill, we've looked at everything, and everything seems in order, paperwork's in order. We don't have any concerns.
Does anybody want to speak to this? Nope.
The public?
Yeah, I mean, you can, the public can speak to this.
Are you opening the floor, Nancy?
I am, I'm opening the floor. Does anybody want to speak?
I don't know why everybody's here, if nobody's saying anything. I think it is only going to enhance the experience for our guests and visitors. It's really a no-brainer.
Nobody's opposed.
No, nobody's saying anything about it. I don't know what anybody's saying. I don't know what anybody's saying.
Thank you, Mr. Peel, or anybody else like to speak? This is your chance if you, well, I'll close the floor, and do I have a motion to approve this resolution 115?
Motion to approve. Second.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Bauer?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Maxwell?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
Okay. Finally, we are this evening going to be holding a quick public hearing on the 2019 municipal budget. We did not receive approval from the state to go ahead and approve tonight because they're behind on their budget approval. So I'm going to do a quick synopsis, and we do have our CFO here tonight to answer questions if needed. The total appropriations this year is $12,626,856.92, which is an increase of about $550,000 over last year, which is mostly made up of a $200,000 additional payment, principal pay down of debt, and an additional $275,000 to repay our community disaster loan that we received during Sandy. We were hoping for forgiveness of that loan, but we were not given it, so now it's time to repay. So that is reflects the increase over last year. The amount to be raised by taxation is $7,849,774. It's an increase over last year by $88,424.65. Our valuations of our properties right now is $2.1 billion. It's an increase of 1.14%. And the tax rate is going to remain at 0.373 with no increase this year. I don't think I have any other notes. The water utility appropriation is remaining pretty static at $1,852,500. I think I've hit all the big points. No tax increase. Shari, did you have anything to add? I think Shari's in the audience, our CFO.
That was most of it, everything we discussed last month.
Nothing?
That was the main point.
No, I'm good. I had my hour with Sherry.
Yes, so I'm opening the floor to public comment relating to the adoption of the 2019 budget, which we're not voting on, but we need to spend money, so we have to hear this now. Nobody will vote on this. Does anybody want to come forth and talk? Okay, so I close the floor. So now we go to approval of bills.
I have a bill list this evening in the amount of $2,968,623.69.
Any questions or comments about bills?
I just had one question, as usual. Just describe for me what we're doing with this refund of Columbia Bank for refund taxes.
That was a tax certificate premium. Shari, no?
No, I think that one was, that was at the request of tax collector. I think they just made a payment in error.
That's right.
That one was just an error.
Any other questions, council?
And there was a resolution on tonight's agenda
Yeah.
approving that payment.
That dealt with
I kind of thought so.
Right, right, so the
property
explanation is
changes.
actually in the
Yes.
resolution.
All right, is there a motion? I close the floor to public comment then. Is there, there wasn't any public comment, sorry. There wasn't even no bills. Do I have a motion to approve the bills?
Motion to approve the bills.
One second.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowmiller?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Maskell?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
Good job.
Okay, so now we have the real public comment. So anybody that would like to comment,
Is that what I said? Yeah.
you may come forward, state your name and address.
Thank
But you
you.
live in Hogan.
I do. Okay, I have a question. How exactly did Buckley's get 4 parking spots on Second Street? And we now lost 6 parking spots on Second Street.
Buckaloo's got 4 parking spots on Bay Avenue.
No, they got 4 parking spots on Second Street. On Second Street. It's right across from my shop. I can see it. I'm sitting at my desk. I see the parking lot. We lost 6 on Second Street, that first block. The worst block in all of East Haven. I have now Buckley's employees parking there. I'm taking the eggs employees parking there. No one can get to our store anymore.
Why don't you talk to Buckaloo's people and see if you can use those
I
spots?
love you, but I've been talking to Buckley's and to people for 16 years. I'm like,
We did gain 4.
now you took off 4 parking spots on Second Street. And out of those 2, you added 2 handicap. We've lost 6 parking spots in half a block for Buckley's to gain 3. That doesn't make any sense to me.
I know what you're saying.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
And now the stupid greenhouse, they're gonna put in a driveway, so that puts out another one. So now it's 7 streets in 1 block, 7 spots in 1 block that we got. Do they want to even think about it, or look at it, or talk about it, or? They just sort of showed up one day and leveled every single parking spot, put in 2 handicaps, and decided where the parking spots were going.
Yeah, I just sold this handicap today.
Yeah, no, they just sort of made up their own. Did the town do it? Did the county do it? Who did it?
It's part of the state plan.
Well,
Well, and who? I'm just curious, who decided to lose 7 spots on Second Street. We're about to lose the Gate 4. I don't get it. No answer. Thanks.
Good question.
Welcome to Beach Haven.
Keep hitting the ball.
That's all right. We'll give you time to speak. State your name and address.
John Harvey, 211 Second Street. And I'd like to follow up on that comment, but step back from that issue. And if there has been a constant conversation about concern with the Buckaloos, it was parking, it was noise. And the borough decided, my opinion, not to do anything, to take a big leap with that. And I heard things like, well, they have enough parking. My numbers are a little different, but similar.
I'll have with you tomorrow. I'll come to your house.
They've got 5 spots that they were required to have. It took 3 spots away, and I don't know about the others, 3 spots away to provide access to those 5 spots, makes it 2 spots. Now, I will give them credit, because on Bay Boulevard, there used to be a driveway next to Buffalo's that now is a parking spot. The issue, and the lesson to be learned, is that we've got a huge parking issue here. And 3 of you were involved in this process. Nancy, I would just encourage you not to comment on the Buckaloos project, okay?
You're right.
So let me step back from that. If any of you want to join me Saturday night, I've got a picture from 6:59 p.m. last Saturday night when it was a very gray overcast day, if you remember. Every spot from the boulevard down to the first street, and I'm not good with the street names, I don't have to memorize them, was virtually taken, okay? About half the property on the Fowler House block, half the parking spot were already taken. We've got 140 to 180, depending on what the fire department approved that space for, how many, and it isn't about weddings anymore. I mean, when they have people coming for dinner, there will be 140 seats. It's a magnificent addition, okay? I personally have some operational concerns with the bike rack. I think when it gets crowded, you've got about this much space to get past them, and the other night there were 7 bikes there, right? But that's, we've got a township engineer who presumably signed off on all that stuff. The issue is parking. And I think you need to do something and consider. I have some ideas. I'd be glad to share them with you, where I think you can get 50 to 60 spots. And this is not, you know, Bill, this is going to go down to your, how many other seats that you're going to have down there, the parking. I'm talking both sides of 2nd Street. From a policing standpoint, there are, I live right at 211. I've got my grandson who's 3 there the whole summer, lots of kids. Cars back into those spots. I'm not sure if they're allowed to do that. But a safety standpoint with kids on the sidewalk, it's an issue. People will turn around pretty rapidly to see a spot on the other side of the street. Sometimes they'll go right into that spot. I did ask one of the patrol people one day, and he said, there's no signs, we can't enforce anything there on that street, right? There's no sign, no U-turn, no backing in or anything like that. She said they have a very difficult time. Maybe you could write a ticket, but they couldn't enforce it because how would somebody know? The issue's only going to get worse. So Saturday night, 7 o'clock, hopefully the weather will be glorious. Stand with me on the corner of 2nd Street and the Boulevard, and I think you're going to see a real challenge. Thank you.
What, Christie, let her go. Okay, all right.
Well, this has to do with Buckaloos too. It was about a week ago, the fire alarm went off. Fortunately, it was not a house that was on fire. There was an arc on one of the telephone poles. When the fire truck came to 2nd Street on the boulevard, there was delivery trucks, parking. He could not turn up 2nd Street. If it had been a real fire, he had to go over to 3rd Street, go up, come around. It's a real issue there. And it's dangerous. There's the 2 handicap. I agree with David. I don't know where everybody's gonna park. We're like over maximum parking on 2nd Street. And I think it's great that businesses are doing good, like the Chegg and everything. But kids do come out and they keep their cars running out front of my house. I'm on the 1st block off of 2nd Street, off the main drag up 2nd Street. People sit there talking, their car's running. I don't know if that's illegal.
It is.
But sometimes they're drinking. I mean, I think we need a little bit more patrolling there because most of them are pretty quiet, but you do have radios blaring, you have cars running, just people up and down the street. It's never ending. And I think we we just need to pay a little bit more attention to what's happening there on Second Street. It's becoming a bit of a dangerous situation.
Can you state your name and address?
Oh, Ann Smith, 204 Second Street.
Thank you.
Thank you. Christie?
I don't like being on this side of things, but, all right, I just wrote this in response.
State your name and address.
I'm sorry, Christy Davis, from 29 Leeward Avenue. I was at the Land Use Board meeting last week, and Foster's was on the agenda to be looked at for rehabilitation redevelopment. And so I wrote a few things down, forgive me, I just didn't want to forget anything. So Foster's Farm Market has been part of the community for well over 60 years. It's been through a handful of owners. It has evolved from a tiny farm stand to what it is today. The market has been housed at multiple locations. It was once where Ron John's now is. It was in the Dunes at one point. It was where the old general store is in Grant Beach, and now where it is today on 4th Street. The business has changed over time. It is time to change again. And change is good. Change is scary. This is the scariest thing that Kirk and I have ever done. It's been extremely hard to come to the decision that we have not to open Foster's this year. Sorry, I didn't want to get upset. The stress and sacrifice on our family over the past few years to pull together Foster's and run it for summer after summer has been significant. The truth is the investment is more than the return. And it's time for us to rethink our business model. Times are changing and survival needs change. We're not quitting, we're adapting. Our plan is to find a way to get out from underneath this weight we've been carrying since Sandy, and a fresh start with a clean slate and more managed business model. For our family, we want to simplify what we do best. I want you all to know that Kirk and I have spent many sleepless nights for the past few months debating and calculating what the best move is. Many suggestions that we have heard from the Land Use Board and the community members we've already vetted, and as you are well aware, the financial feasibility of flood mitigation and improvement on this site is impossible for us. It's impossible for us. I want you to know that we spoke with Mr. Burris about our idea. We came to him. We've spoken to many realtors. We've spoken to a developer or two other than Bill. And this is the best option for us, and this is why. We flood. I know everybody floods. I've heard the comments that everybody floods, of course, and they don't flood like us. I don't think people are aware of how severe the flooding is at Foster's on a heavy rain, on a high tide. We flooded 5 times last year, straight through our entire store, ranging from a few inches to a foot. And the last time was in October, which kind of put us over the edge. And thank God it was last October, and we haven't flooded since, thank God. But we have over 2,000 square feet with equipment, walk-ins, fixtures that Kirk and I have had to move, power wash, put back, which takes us days to do. If the flooding happens in the summer, which it does, add moving all the product, paying all the employees to help us, and we lose the day. Last year we flooded 4th of July weekend, which created major issues for us. Other businesses may be slow for a little while due to water coming in the front door or out to the door. We flooded straight through our establishments, which means we have to empty our walk-ins, power wash them, we lose product, and we lose the day. We have to clear the kitchen. It's a huge endeavor. Of course, on the outside, we make it appear like everything is great. We don't publicize that our kitchen flooded in the middle of the season. We don't publicize that the infrastructure will not withstand being lifted, which we have looked into. We don't speak about the amount of equipment we have to sink thousands of dollars into each summer because our store is basically open to the elements all year, because we're not temperature controlled, and we do not have insulation in our store because it floods so much, and we cannot have insulation in the store because it would create mold. We are simply tired of slapping lipstick on a pig. Are we successful? If by success you mean, are we busy? Yeah, we're busy. Do people love Foster's? Yes. But does it cost more to run than we make? The answer is yes. Why continue to work so hard? At the end of the day, putting more money into the building than you're making. Isn't this what rehabilitation is for? This is why we created it. It was intended to help businesses thrive, to entice new businesses to open. This project is going to help us tremendously. We want to downsize to do what just makes sense. We want to reiterate to you that we don't want to sell Foster's. We're not selling Foster's. Kirk was raised on LBI. Forgive me for being long, but I just want to let everybody know where we stand. And I don't often have the opportunity to speak to council because I'm not allowed to speak to them when I work. So this is it. They've never heard me speak about this yet. Kirk was raised on LBI. We chose to live and raise our children here. Our kids went to the Beach Haven School. We go to church here. We patron other stores and restaurants, and we are so fortunate to have been able to do so. We want to stay here. We want to continue to work here and contribute to the community, which, by the way, Kirk and my kids do silently for many community members without recognition or Facebook posts. Kirk puts up people's Christmas trees. He carries them inside. He takes them down for people who need that as well. He and my children help community members move belongings, elderly people who have to move out of their home in order to live here. They rent them year after year. My husband helps a disabled couple around the corner every and any time they need, just to name a few, because that's what we do in Beach Haven. We help one another succeed. I feel it is important to mention these things because there aren't many of us left who live here and work here in Beach Haven. We don't want to leave, and this is a viable option for us. We're not quitting. We're going back to Foster's roots, a farm market and deli, selling what we know works. The project is important to us, and it should be to you. Thank you.
Hi, Barb Kellner, 100 Northwest. I would like to say that I commend Christy and Kirk for their courage, and I would like to also say that they have helped our Chamber of Commerce each year that we've had the Fall Festival without hesitation. They've just jumped in, rolled up their sleeves, and helped out for the community event. That really wasn't what I intended to get up here and say tonight, but I had a question about the master plan and the Buckaloo's design, which I think looks great. It's a wonderful addition to the town. But I'm just wondering what the plan is when there's a new project that comes to town. And I thought that there were specific benches and lighting and things like that that were required of a new project, which, if I'm wrong, please let me know. Is that the way it works?
Well, I know the streetscape in front of that new establishment is the correct one. I don't know if benches came up at all, or if the plan, if he proposed benches there, but as far as the lights, the pavers, we made a modification to the lights, but the pavers and the way the streetscape is definitely is what we wanted from them.
Right, I knew that they did the brick, which was part of the master plan, and the benches are different than what was in the master plan. And the lighting, I remember being here at a meeting where they said that there wasn't enough room for the lighting to be installed. But when I look at it, I think, well, if they had stepped back with the planters that they had installed there, which, I mean, I'm all for landscaping. I love it, and, you know, softening the look of the hardscape. But I'm just wondering what the standard is, and if that's something that is discussed when somebody comes with a plan, that you say, okay, make sure you incorporate this into your design. Because I think it's important for the overall look through the business district, and you guys know that for at least 5 years I've been talking about consistency, and that it's really important in building a strong community that everyone is treated the same, and that, you know, it's consistent as you move along, no matter who it is. So I don't mean to just look at you. You know, I know that you have the answers to my question.
We had an engineering meeting today, and this actually came up.
Oh, really?
And,
Okay.
you know, we talked to Frank again today about creating an ordinance for the downtown that sets these parameters by ordinance.
Okay.
So that it's more consistent. So it is something that we're working toward. And we know some locations won't be consistent because of the, you know, the depth that they have
Right.
or don't have.
Yeah.
But we talked today about how can we write this so that we can get the most out of it. So
Yeah,
we're
and just-
definitely working on it.
I'm thrilled to hear that. And just a little suggestion, that is, if somebody doesn't have the room for the lighting that has been selected, then why aren't they required to maybe do that in a wall lighting that would coordinate with the street lighting that's there, so that everything does look
That would take
cohesive?
a little coordination since the street lighting, yeah, I guess we could look into that a little bit.
I mean, just something similar so that it's complementary.
I know that Mr. Wainwright also contacted Frank about inquiring about the streetscape in front of their facility
Oh,
as well.
that's exciting. Yeah, that's great. Okay, well, thank you for answering. All right, thanks, guys.
Would anybody else like to come up?
Non-access on Fifth Street in Beach Haven. First of all, I think we should do whatever we can to help Christine and Foster's. I think whatever is reasonable. When it comes to parking, there's a couple of ideas, and I'd like the town to consider this. One is, if you go to Cape May, okay, they have a shuttle within the town, and not shuttle that goes up and down the island. But I think if we had a shuttle that just took Atlantic Avenue down to Bay Village, went up to the Maritime District and just did a loop, and it would only be a short loop. I mean, it would alleviate cars having to drive all around town. It would service all the restaurants on Atlantic Avenue, to service Bay Village. It would just be a shuttle within town. It could look historical, it could be a trolley car type of shuttle, and just run it in the summer, and maybe just run it till 5 o'clock in the evening until the restaurant's closed at 11. It might alleviate some of the cars and the traffic, the need for parking. So it's something, you look at what towns do,